Students, myself, I am Dr. Rangarao and my colleague Dr. K. Shrikant. We both working as associate professors in the Department of Biotechnology, Vignan's Foundation for Science, Technology and Research. We are going to deal with biochemistry for second year students. So today I am going to talk about Unit 1 topic 6. So this topic covers metabolic pathways. What are the metabolic pathways involved in this topic 6? So this topic covers glycogenesis, glycogenolysis, glucogenesis, glycogenolysis, glucogenesis, gluconeogenesis, pentose phosphate shunt, Turner-Dautrup pathway. So these are the pathways we are going to learn from this topic 6. One is glycogenesis, glycogenolysis, glucogenesis, gluconeogenesis, pentose phosphate pathway, Turner-Dautrup pathway. So we are going to talk about more on this one. Coming to introduction, what is metabolism? What is metabolism? It is a set of chemical reactions that occur in cell. It is a chemical reactions that occur in the cell. Metabolic process. How the metabolic process happen? Metabolic process classified into two. So one is catabolism, the other one is anabolism. Metabolism, and then what is metabolism? Metabolism. Energy. We can get energy from nutrients. Anabolism, we can produce, production of new cell components. We can produce new cell components using anabolism. There is a various pathways involved for metabolic pathways. So they are most important metabolic pathways are some of the examples here: glycolysis, Krebs cycle, oxidative phosphorylation, urea cycle, fatty acid, beta oxidation, pentose phosphate pathway, and gluconeogenesis. These are some of the examples that metabolic pathways involved. Respiration. Previous lecture I have given some of importance about respiration and cellular respiration. Respiration process, we need oxygen. So living organism, if you take any living organisms in the it is a process in living organisms involving the production of energy, but they take oxygen, release of carbon dioxide from oxidative complex organic substances. So that means respiration process, oxygen is important. They use oxygen and then produces release of some carbon dioxide from oxidation of organic substances. Coming to cellular respiration. What is cellular respiration process? So in this process, it is a set of metabolic reactions. Involved here. So from the nutrients into ATP. So here we are going to use oxygen. You are going to intake of oxygen and the release of carbon dioxide from oxidative organic substances. Whereas this one is metabolic reactions happen in this cellular respiration process, takes by cells of organisms, and to convert the biochemical energy from nutrients from the nutrients. This is very, very important. And then produces energy in the form of ATP, The first one, glycogenesis. What is glycogenesis? Glycogenesis is the process that synthesizes glycogen, that synthesize glycogen. Glycogenesis is a process, it synthesizes glycogen, which glucose molecules are added to chains of glycogen. The glucose molecules attached to one glucose molecule, another glucose molecule, another glucose. This is chains. Okay, it will form chains, but attached to the glycogen. Glycogen are for storage products. Glycogen is a storage product. So, synthesis of glycogenesis. It is a synthesis of glycogen. Which glucose molecules are added to chains of glycogen for storage, and it is a process activated during the resting periods, during the body resting periods. So, that is we call Cori cycle. Usually it happens in the liver and also activated by insulin in response to high glucose levels. For example, here you can see a carbohydrate containing meal. When you take more carbohydrate containing meal, you can see this one. So, it is activated during the rest periods. Then the following is a Cori cycle, and in the liver and also activated by insulin in response to high glucose, level. Example, when you take high carbohydrate content meal. So, glycogenesis, synthesis of glycogen. It is a synthesis of glycogen. So, here you can see here. So, this one is the glucose. You can see glucose. From glucose, you can synthesize glycogen. Okay. From glucose, you can synthesize glycogen. This is actually glycogen. We are talking about glycogen. From glucose, you are producing glycogen. Again, from glycogen you can produce glucose, but this process we call glycogenolysis. If you want to produce glucose converted into glycogen, this process we call glycogenesis. And then glycogen converted into glucose, this is glycogenolysis. This process is glycogenolysis. What is glycolysis? Glycolysis, previous lecture we learned that glucose converted into pyruvate. This process comes here, glycolysis. Glucose converted into pyruvate, again pyruvate can convert into lactate. Again lactate converted into, again you can see lactate and then produce pyruvate and again produces glucose. This process it's happen in the liver. This is gluconeogenesis. From lactate if you produce glucose, gluconeogenesis. Glycogenesis. What are the steps involved? Glycogenesis. Glucose converted into glucose 6-phosphate with the help of hexokinase, the enzyme involved here. Hexokinase, this is enzyme involved here. Again glucose 6-phosphate converted into glucose 1-phosphate with the help of phosphoglucomutase. Phosphoglucomutase, the enzyme which is involved here. And then glucose 1-phosphate converted into uridine diphosphoglucose, UDP, then G. Okay, uridine diphosphoglucose. With the help of uridine phosphoglucose, phosphopyrrolase, this is enzyme involved here. Here glucose 1-phosphate react with UDP, uridine triphosphate, and then produces uridine diphosphoglucose. Again uridine diphosphate glucose converted into 1,2 glucosyl residues, but here the glycogen synthesis, the enzyme it is involved here, glycogen synthesis. But here uridine diphosphate glucose react with glycogen primers here and produces UDP, and then here you can get 1,4 glucosyl residues, 1,4 glucoside residues. But whereas in this process, if you want to produce glycogen primer, uridine diphosphate glucose and then glycogenin, it is involved, both involved here when you want to produce glycogen primer. That glycogen primer we are going to use here 1,2,4 glucosyl residues. Again 1,2,4 glucosyl residues, again it produces glycogen, 1,2,4 linkage, 1,2,6 linkages. The enzyme here is branching enzyme. Here the branching enzyme is involved. 1,2,4 glucosyl residues converted into glycogen with the help of branching enzyme. These are the steps involved in glycogenesis. UDP glucose phosphorylase. This is structure here. UDP glucose pyrophosphorylase. This is the structure glucose 1-phosphate. You can see this is the glucose structure and the C1. This is the C1 carbon 1. You can see here this is the carbon 1 position attached to functional group phosphate attached to C1. So that's what glucose 1-phosphate. And coming to here, this is UTP, uridine triphosphate. This is the structure of uridine. You can see this is the structure of uridine attached 3 molecules of phosphate functional group. So one is this one, 2, 3. So that is uridine. This is uridine and then triphosphate. This is a 3 molecules. So that this one is a triphosphate. Uridine triphosphate. So both reacted. Glucose 1-phosphate react with UTP and then produces here UDP glucose. Uridine diphosphate. Two phosphate functional groups attached here. You can see here. This is uridine. This is the uridine, and then phosphate 1, and this is the 2-phosphate attached to here. This is the carbon. You can see attached to this one, so that you can see uridine diphosphate glucose. Uridine diphosphate glucose, UDP glucose is the immediate precursors. This is the immediate precursors. Glycogen synthesis. If you want to produce glycogen synthesize, if you want to synthesize glycogen, this is very, very important. UDP glucose is very, very important. This is the precursor to synthesize glycogen. So as a glucose residues are added to glycogen, so each one glucose attached to another glucose, finally it attached to the glycogen. UDP glucose is the substrate and UDP is released as a reaction product. Spontaneous hydrolysis of the bond and phosphate inorganic but drives the overall reaction. PPI that is inorganic phosphate. So it drives the whole reaction. Glycogenin initiates glycogen synthesis. This is the initiate. This is a glycogenin. Glycogen initiates glycogen synthesis. Glycogen is an enzyme that catalyzes. Attachment of a glucose molecule to one of its own tyrosinase residues. This is the tyrosinase, and here this is the tyrosinase residues. So glycogen is an enzyme that catalyzes attachment of a glucose molecule to one of its own tyrosinase residues. Tyrosin residues. So glycogen is a dimer. This is the glycogen. If you see the structure, this is a dimer. So glycogen is a dimer. Evidence indicate that the 2 copies of the enzyme. For example, this is 1, and you can see this is 2 copies of the enzyme glycosylate. One another. So this is 1 and this one. So that is 2 copies of this one. This is a glycogen dimer. A glycosidic bond you can see here glycosidic bond. Here is the glycosidic. You can see this is the glycosidic bond. You can see here. So this one is the glycosidic bond. If you see, this is alpha 1, 4 linkage. Alpha 1, 4 linkage. A glycosidic bond is formed between the anomeric carbon. This one is the anomeric carbon. Carbon of the glucose moiety derived from UDP glucose. Derived from UDP glucose. This is the UDP glucose and UDP glucose and hydroxyl oxygen of the tyrosine side. This is the tyrosine side. So this one is the UDP glucose and this one is the tyrosine residue. Tyrosine residue. So hydroxyl of tyrosine chain of glycogen. You can see this is the one. UDP is released as a product. If you see here, UDP glucose and then tyrosine residue of glycogen. So you can see here oxygen linked glucose residue. Oxygen linked glucose residue. So you can see here this is OH. This OH and you can see here attached this one. You can see here this is a glucose and attached here oxygen. Attached to the oxygen. Then oxygen linked glucose residue. This is oxygen linked glucose residue and it forms UDP and it forms UDP. And when you do this one here, again if you add one more glucose, if you add one more glucose, then again it will attach it to another molecule. So this one is alpha 1, 4 C1, okay, carbon 1 forms 1, 4 linkage. If you add one more glucose, here we added one more glucose unit and then you can see here there are 1 and then 2 glucose molecule and attached this is a tyrosine residue. This is the tyrosine residue and the oxygen linked. This is the oxygen linked. So these two it forms this one oxygen linked glucose residues and then UDP. Again if you add one more glucose molecule, then you can see one glucose attached to another glucose, alpha 1, 4 linkage, and this one is the tyrosine residue. And finally it forms UDP. Here the final product is UDP. Glycogen then catalyzes glucosylation at carbon 4. You can see here glucosylation at carbon 4 of the attached glucose with UDP glucose. Again being the glucose donor, the product is oxygen linked disaccharide with a 1,4. This one is the 1,4 alpha 1, 4 glycosidic linkage. This process is repeated until a short linear glucose primer with alpha 1, 4 glycosidic linkages is built up on the glycogen. So glycogen that catalyzes glycosylation at carbon 4 position of the attached glucose with the UDP glucose again being the glucose donor. The product is an oxygen linked disaccharide, oxygen linked because they contain 2 sugar units, disaccharide with an alpha 1, 4 glycosidic linkages. This process repeated until a short linear glucose polymer with alpha 1, 4 glycosidic linkages is built up on the glycogen. And glycogen synthesis catalyzes elongation of glycogen chains. Glycogen synthesis catalyzes the transfer of glucose moiety of UDP glucose to the hydroxyl at carbon 4 of the terminal residue of the glycogen chain to form an alpha 1, 4 glycosidic linkages. A branching enzyme, that is a branching enzyme. If you see the previous slide, I mentioned that if you see what are the steps involved, there is one branching enzyme. A branching enzyme transfers a segment from end of glycogen chain to the carbon 6 hydroxyl of glucose residue of glycogen to yield branch with an alpha 1, 4 linkage, alpha 1, 4 6 linkage, alpha 1, 4 6 linkage. Coming to glycogenolysis. The first one is glycogenesis, producing glycogen from the glucose. Here glycogenolysis, this is a glycogenolysis. So in this process this is glycogen, okay. So glycogen, you can see here, glycogen produces glucose 1 comma 1 phosphate. Glycogen produces glucose 1 phosphate with the help of phosphorylase. With the help of phosphorylase. This is a phosphorylase. This is enzyme involved. This is inorganic phosphate. So glycogen produces glucose 1 phosphate. From glucose, if you see from glucose produces glucose 6 phosphate and then glucose 1 phosphate. So glucose 1 phosphate either you can produce from glycogen or this is another pathway from glucose. From glucose also we can produce glucose 1 phosphate. So again the glucose 1 phosphate produces UDPG. Here is glucose 1 phosphate react with UTP, uridine triphosphate, and produces UDPG, uridine diphosphate glucose, uridine diphosphate glucose. And here UDPG pyrophosphorylase. This is the enzyme involved here. UDPG pyrophosphorylase enzyme involved here. Then it produces UTP. Here one phosphate molecule will released, eliminated, and then finally we will get the UDPG, uridine diphosphate glucose. Again, uridine diphosphate glucose produces glucose N plus molecule. So number of glucose units. So UDPG produces glucose with the help of glycogen synthesis. With the help of glycogen synthesis. And then this is a branching enzyme N+1. Again, glucose can produce glycogen, branching enzyme 1, 4 or 1, 6. 1, 4 or 1, 6. So here we are producing the previous one. From glucose we produces glycogen. From here you can see from glycogen we are producing glucose. From glycogen we are producing glucose. And here hepatic glycogenolysis. In this process glycogenolysis we are producing from the glycogen producing glucose. From glycogen we are producing glucose. You see glycogen converted into glucose 1 phosphate with the help of phosphopyrolase. And again this is a reversible reaction here. Glucose 1 phosphate converted to glucose 6 phosphate with the help of phosphoglucomutase. Glucomutase. Again glucose 6 phosphate converted into glucose with the help of glucose 6 phosphatase. And here you can see here, if you want to get the phosphorylase A, you need to convert into phosphorylase. From phosphorylase B, convert into phosphorylase A with the help of regulated by hypoglycemic signal. So phosphorylase A converted it coming from the phosphorylase B. So this one is glycogenolysis. Glycogen converted into glucose. Glycogen phosphorylase use inorganic phosphate to attack non-reducing ends. You can see glycogen phosphorylase. This is the one, glycogen phosphorylase. Use inorganic. This is the inorganic phosphate and attack non-reducing sugar. This is the non-reducing sugars. That one is the non-reducing sugars. So glycogen phosphorylase and attack non-reducing end. The pink one you can see highlighted in pink one, non-reducing ends. So this is glycogen chain. If you see this one, glycogen chain. This is one sugar molecule and another sugar molecule and another sugar molecule. This whole we call glycogen N. Okay, number of sugar molecules. Okay. So here the glycogen phosphorylase use phosphate, inorganic phosphate, attack the end non-reducing end. Here you can see here when you use this inorganic phosphate, we are using inorganic phosphate, you can see it is attached to the carbon 1 position. It will produce two molecules, one is glucose 1 phosphate, other one is glycogen short-ended by one residue of glucose. So it reduced, if we compared to here, it reduced one sugar molecule. That's what we mentioned, short-end by one residue, shortened by one residue, that is glucose, one glucose unit. So here glucose 1 phosphate, we are using inorganic phosphate, that inorganic phosphate you can see here attached to C1 position, carbon 1 position. So that's what glucose 1 phosphate. This we mentioned that glucose 1 phosphate. And then this whole we call phosphorylases, phosphorylases. So we call that one, this is a non-reducing end, again this one is a non-reducing end, this is glycogen short-ended by one residue. That is what here, this is a glycogen phosphorylase, use inorganic phosphate and attack non-reducing ends. And glycogenolysis is the breakdown of glycogen, it is a breakdown of glycogen to glucose phosphate. Glycogen breakdown to glucose 1 phosphate, glycogen N-1. This is N-1. So glycogenolysis means here it is a breakdown of glycogen. We are going to break down glycogen and it will form two molecules. So one is glucose 1 phosphate and the other one is glycogen, that is N-1. Glycogen branches are catabolized by the sequential removal of glucose monomers via phosphorylases by the enzyme glycogen phosphorylase. If you see the reaction, the before slide I explained the path that glucose, we have taken the one molecules of glucose and then attack inorganic, we are using inorganic carbon and then it reduced the short end, that is one of the sugar molecule reduced. So that is what here we use, glycogen branches are catabolized by the removal of glycogen molecule, that we are removing one glucose molecule during the reaction with the enzyme glycogen phosphorylase, Glycogenolysis is the degradation of glycogen. We are breakdown of the glycogen. We are making the breakdown of the glycogen and removal of sugar units, removal of glucose molecules. So monomer through cleavage with inorganic phosphate. We are using inorganic phosphate, PA. We are using PA inorganic phosphate to produce glucose 1 phosphate. This derivative glucose is then converted into glucose 6 phosphate and intermediate in glycolysis. In the glycolysis process, the previous lecture you may have seen that we know that what is glycolysis, glucose converted into pyruvate. In this process, glucose 6 phosphate, you may have seen that glucose converted into glucose 6 phosphate, then glucose 6 phosphate converted into different molecules. So this whatever we are getting here, glucose is then converted into glucose 6 phosphate, whatever the glucose 6 phosphate we have seen previously in glycolysis pathway. That is we call intermediate in glycolysis. And then glycogen phosphorylase catalyzes the reaction in which alpha 1, 4 glycosidic linkage between two glucose residues at a non-reducing end of glycogen undergoes attack by inorganic carbon. It is inorganic phosphate. This is a inorganic phosphate, PA. Okay, removing the terminal glucose residue as a glucose 1 phosphate. Glycogen phosphorylase catalyzes the reaction in which alpha 1, 4 glycosidic linkage between two glucose residues at a non-reducing end of glycogen. This is a very, very important non-reducing end of glycogen undergoes attack by inorganic carbon and removing the terminal glucose residues as a glucose 1 phosphate. Pyridoxal phosphate is an essential cofactor in the glycogen phosphorylase reaction. This is the cofactor. We use cofactors, that is the pyridoxal phosphate is one is important cofactor in the glycogen phosphorylase reaction. We are going to use this one. We are going to use this pyridoxal phosphate. This is one of the important cofactor we are going to use in this glycogen phosphorylase reaction. To mobilize glycogen, three enzymes are required. Three enzymes are very, very important. One is glycogen phosphorylase, and the next one is debranching enzyme. We are going to use debranching enzyme and phosphoglucomutase. These are the three enzymes are very, very important in this process. Glucose 6-phosphate. What are the fate it is involved? Glucose 6-phosphate has a different fate. So glycogen, we know that glycogen converted into glucose. You see here, glucose 6-phosphate has a three different fate. So one is glycogen converted into glucose 1-phosphate. Glycogen converted into glucose 1-phosphate. But here the enzyme is glycogen phosphorylase. Glycogen converted into glucose 1-phosphate with the help of glycogen phosphorylase. This is the enzyme involved in this process. And then glucose 1-phosphate converted into glucose 6-phosphate. In this process, phosphoglucomutase. This is the enzyme involved here. With the help of this enzyme, glucose 1-phosphate converted into glucose 6-phosphate. Coming to glucose 6-phosphate, through this process, glucose 6-phosphate also we are going to use in pyruvate. If you want to convert glucose to pyruvate, in this process you can see glucose 6-phosphate, that is glycolysis pathway happen in muscle and then brain, and again glycolysis, and pyruvate converted into lactate, again pyruvate converted into lactate here, and then you can see here CO2 will release and then H2O will come out. So this is one fate, glucose 6-phosphate converted into pyruvate, pyruvate converted to lactate. This is one pathway. And then glucose 6-phosphate again converted into glucose. Okay, this is happen in the liver. Okay, this is happen in the liver, but here the enzyme is glucose 6-phosphatase. Glucose 6-phosphatase. Glucose 6-phosphate converted into glucose with the help of glucose 6-phosphatase. With the help of this is happen in the liver. And then coming to another, glucose 6-phosphate converted into ribose and then NADPH. NADPH. This is happen. You can see here pentose phosphate pathway. Pentose phosphate pathway. So this is a glucose 6-phosphate has a three different fate. So these are the one. One is glucose 6-phosphate converted to pyruvate and lactate, and the other one is glucose 6-phosphate converted into glucose, and the other one is using glucose 6-phosphate you can convert to ribose. And structure of glycogen. Structure of glycogen. If you see here structure of glycogen, and the major one you need to observe always, see the non-reducing ends. When you see the structure, it is attached to one glucose, another glucose. You can see chains, glucose chain here, one sugar molecule attached to another sugar molecule attached to another sugar molecule. The linkage you need to observe that alpha 1,4 linkage. And then again this is a branches. Again you see from 6 to 1 again connected. You can see one of the glucose molecule carbon 6 position to connected to another carbon 1. Another glucose unit carbon 1, that is alpha 1,2,4 alpha 1,6 linkage. Alpha 1,6 linkage. And here alpha 1,4 linkage. Alpha 1,4 linkage. You need to see here we highlighted in pink color, that is non-reducing ends. This is the structure of glycogen. Glycogen phosphorylase cleaves the bond linkage terminal glucose residues to glycogen branch by substitution of phosphorylase. That means inorganic phosphate. We are using inorganic phosphate to eliminate this glucose units. That's what we are using, phosphorylase. And then glucose 1-phosphate is converted into glucose 6-phosphate by enzyme phosphoglucomutase. Glucose 1-phosphate is converted into glucose 6-phosphate by enzyme phosphoglucomutase. And glucose residues are phosphorylazed from branches of glycogen unit. 4 residues before a glucose, that is branched with a alpha 1,6 linkages. Glycogen debranching enzyme glycogen debranching enzyme then transfers 3 of the remaining 4 glucose units to the end of the another glycogen branch, which is hydrolyzed by alpha 1 to 6 glycosidase, removing the final glucose residue of the branch as a molecule of glucose and eliminating the branch. And again, this is the only case in which glycogen metabolite is not glucose 1 phosphate, and the glucose is subsequently phosphorylated to glucose 6 phosphate by hexokinase. That is enzyme involved here, hexokinase. The functions, what are the functions? Glycogenolysis. What are the functions? Glycogenolysis. Glycogenolysis takes place in the muscle and the liver tissues. The glycogenolysis takes place in the muscle and then liver. Muscle and then liver tissues. Glycogenolysis takes place in the cells of the muscle and then liver tissues in response to hormonal and neuronal signals. In particularly, glycogenolysis plays an important role in the fight or flight responses and the regulation of glucose levels in the body. So, glycogenolysis takes place in muscles and then liver in response to the hormonal or signals, neuronal signals. In particularly, glycogenolysis plays an important role in fight or flight response and the regulation of glucose levels, in the blood. Myocytes is a muscle cells. Myocytes is nothing but muscle cells. Glycogen degradation serves to provide an intermediate, an immediate source of glucose 6 phosphate for glycolysis to provide energy for muscle contraction. So, in myocytes, glycogen degradation serves to provide an immediate source of glucose 6 phosphate and then this happen in the glycolysis and to provide energy for the muscle contraction. And then hepatocytes, this is hepatocytes is nothing but liver cells. The main purpose of the breakdown of glycogen is for the release of glucose. Why we are breaking down the glycogen? To release the glucose, into the bloodstream for uptake in other cells. The phosphate group of glucose 6 phosphate is removed by the enzyme glucose 6 phosphatase, which is not present in myocytes, and the free glucose exits the cells via glucose transfer to facilitate diffusion channels in the hepatocytes cell membrane. Regulation of this glycogenolysis. Glycogenolysis is regulated hormonally in response to blood sugar levels, as I mentioned in the previous slide. Glycogenolysis is regulated hormonally in response to levels by glucagon and insulin. Glycogenolysis is regulated hormonally in response to blood sugar levels by glucagon and insulin and stimulated by epinephrine during the fight or flight response. So, in myocytes, glycogen degradation may also be stimulated by neuronal signals. So, glycogenolysis is regulated by hormonally or neuronal signals. Clinical significance. What is important? This glycogen in the clinical significance. Parenteral administration of glucagon is a common human medical intervention in diabetic. In emergencies, when sugar cannot be given orally, it can also be administered intramuscularly. So, clinical significance. Parenteral administration of glucagon is a common human medical intervention in diabetic emergency cases. Emergency when sugar cannot be given orally, it can also be administered gluconeogenesis. Next one, gluconeogenesis. Gluconeogenesis. It is a synthesis of glucose. You need to remember that. Why we are going to use gluconeogenesis? Synthesis of glucose. Synthesis of glucose from non-carbohydrate source. Why gluconeogenesis is synthesis of glucose from non-carbohydrate sources. It occurs in liver 90% and some extent in kidney 10%, and it occurs in cytosol. It occurs in cytosol and mitochondria. Cytosol and mitochondria. So we are talking about gluconeogenesis. So it is produced as glucose, synthesis of from non-carbohydrate sources. So you can see here, as we know that glucose, if you see glucose, this process, glucose converted into pyruvate converted to lactic acid. Again, lactic acid produces pyruvate. This whole you can see the process. This whole process. This process happen in muscles and this process happen in liver. So glucose produces. We are producing glucose. So in muscles, and this one is the liver. This one is glucose converted to pyruvate produces lactic acid. Again, lactic acid produces pyruvate converted to glucose. See you can see normal glucose curve. This is normal glucose curve here we have given. Gluconeogenesis is the chief source of blood glucose during fasting for more than 18 hours. More than 18 hours. This is you can see plasma glucose levels 250 milligram per deciliters, 200. This is x axis and y axis. Y axis plasma glucose levels milligram per deciliters, and this one is the time of blood sugar, time of blood samples, how much time we have taken the samples, 1 hour, 1.5 hour, 2 hour, 4 hour, 6 hour, 16 hours and 24 hours. So this is normal glucose. We know that how to convert the ATP. The previous lecture we have learned that when you converted glucose to pyruvate and produces ATP molecules. Okay, so aerobic process, anaerobic process. One glucose produces 2 ATP, or another glucose, if 1 unit of glucose convert to 36 molecules of ATP. So this is one of the reaction that production of glucose is an energy expensive. This is energy expensive process. So 2 pyruvate, if you input, take 2 pyruvate and take 4 ATP and 2 GTP and 2 NTH. Then produces output glucose and 4 ADP and 2 GDP and 2 NAD plus and 6 PA, inorganic phosphate. Substrates of gluconeogenesis. So we are producing glucose from non-carbohydrates. So what are the substrates here? Lactate, use lactate and glycerol and then amino acids, lactate. Here lactate is the released into the blood by exercising skeletal muscles and by red blood cells. This whole we call actually Cori cycle. You can see red blood cells produces lactate. Lactate you can convert into glucose. This is gluconeogenesis. This happen in the liver. Again glucose produces, again in this process glucose produces lactate. You can see glucose produces pyruvate produces lactate. This is the process, glycolysis, exercise muscles. This is exercise. You can see in the red blood cells produces lactate, and then lactate converted into glucose. This is happening to gluconeogenesis, and then again in the blood glucose again produces lactate. So this is the lactate. From the lactate produces glucose, and then glycerol. We are using glycerol. This is the structure of glycerol. CH2OH, CHOH and CH2OH. This is glycerol, and glycerol kinase. This is enzyme here we are using. Glycerol react with ATP. This is ATP molecule we are using. ATP, glycerol react with ATP and produces glycerol 3-phosphate with the help of glycerol kinase. With the help of glycerol kinase. And you can see here ATP, 3 ATP molecule converted to 2 ATP, the remaining 1 ATP attached here. You can see here. So this is carbon number 3. So 3-phospho, that means glycerol 3-phosphate. This one is the glycerol 3-phosphate. Again glycerol 3-phosphate react with NAD plus with the help of glycerol 3-phospho dehydrogenase, 3-phosphodehydrogenase and produces DHAP, dihydroxy acetone phosphate, DHAP. So and then produces NADH and H plus. So glycerol 3-phosphate react with NAD plus with the help of glycerol 3-phosphate dehydrogenase and produces DHAP, dihydroxyacetone phosphate. You can see here CH2O and C double bond O. When you compare this one, you can compare C double bond O and then this is HCH2O and then phosphate functional group attached to the carbon 3 position. So glycerol is released during the hydrolysis process of triacyl glycerol. When you will get the glycerol, when you do hydrolysis process, triacyl glycerol, you happen glycerol. This happen in the adipose tissues and it is delivered by the blood to the liver, blood to the liver. The glycerol will get when you do hydrolysis, triacyl glycerol. When you do hydrolysis, you will get glycerol in adipose tissues, and it is released blood to the liver, Glucogenic amino acids derived from hydrolysis of tissue proteins. When you do hydrolysis, tissue protein, glucogenic amino acids derived from hydrolysis of tissue proteins. When you do hydrolysis process, tissue proteins, so you will get muscle. This is happen mainly muscle. In the muscle actually it happen. When you do hydrolysis process, tissue proteins are the major source of glucose during fasting after the liver glycogen is depleted. Glucogenic amino acids derived from tissue proteins. When you do hydrolysis, then you will get the glycogen amino acids. Amino acids are deaminated, removed amine group, deaminated, giving pyruvate or intermediates of Krebs cycle. Glucogenic amino acids, these glucogenic amino acids deaminated, giving pyruvate. You can get the pyruvate or intermediates of Krebs cycle. Intermediates, it is intermediate. If you see the Krebs cycle pathway, previous lectures we mentioned Krebs cycle. If there are enzymes involved, so pyruvate converted in acetyl CoA. You can see in this process acetyl converted citrate. So in this process, so glucogenic amino acids are deaminated, giving pyruvate and intermediates of Krebs cycle, all which can be transferred into the oxaloacetate. It goes to everything in oxaloacetate. If you see the Krebs cycle, so from the Krebs cycle you can get oxaloacetate, OAA, oxaloacetate we can see. And then we have how many amino acids? We have 20 amino acids. The previous lecture we in the topics maybe 1 or 2 I mentioned there are different types of amino acids and classification of structure of amino acids, and there are different types of amino acids. Essential and non-essential amino acids. So coming to, there are 20 amino acids we have 20 amino acids. So it can give glucose except leucine and then lysine. 20 amino acids. If you see the 20 amino acids can be, you can give glucose except 2 amino acids. One is leucine and then lysine. And this is the one you can see here, glucose, this one from this amino acid, these are the amino acids, some of the amino acids produces oxaloacetate. This is short name OAA. And again some amino acids produces pyruvate. and lactate, when you use lactate, it can give pyruvate. So overall what we are, pyruvate produces glucose. So if you take some of the amino acids can produce as pyruvate and oxaloacetate. From this one, phosphoenol pyruvate and then 2-phosphoglycerate converted 3-phosphoglycerate and then 1,3 diphosphoglycerate, and again it produces glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and it goes to fructose 1,6 bisphosphate and fructose 6-phosphate, glucose 6-phosphate. Finally, you can get the glucose molecule. So pyruvate converted into glucose, whereas glycerol, you see here glycerol, where we can, how we can get the glycerol. The previous slide I mentioned that when you do triacyl hydrolysis, when you do the triacyl hydrolysis process, so you can get the glycerol. This glycerol can produce this is the DHAP, dihydroxyacetone phosphate, DHAP. And then this is the similar one. So, but you know that you can see here, this is the lactate, this is a reverse reaction, lactate converted to pyruvate, and then again this is happen in the mitochondria. You can see pyruvate converted into oxaloacetate converted into malate, and these are the enzyme here involved. Again malate converted into oxaloacetate, and then oxalate converted into PEP, phenylenediol pyruvate. Again you can see this is a process converted into glucose. This from here you can see the all glycolysis pathway. And reactions unique gluconeogenesis. What are the reactions involved here? Unique reactions, important reactions in this process. Gluconeogenesis process. What are the reactions, unique reactions? There are three. One is glucokinase, phosphofructokinase, and then pyruvate kinase. These are the three important reactions catalyzed. So by the reactions catalyzed by glucose kinase, phosphofructokinase 1, pyruvate kinase, or these all irreversible and require 4 enzymes. They required 4 enzymes. These all irreversible and required 4 enzymes unique to gluconeogenesis for their reversible. Reversible of the pyruvate kinase. First one, reversible of pyruvate kinase. Reaction by 2 enzymes. There are 2 enzymes involved here. Reversible of the pyruvate kinase reaction by 2 enzymes. So one is pyruvate carboxylase, and the phosphoenol pyruvate carboxykinase, and then reversible of phosphofructokinase 1, this reaction by fructose 1,6 bisphosphatase, and then reversible of the glucokinase reaction by glucose 6-phosphatase. So these are the reversible of the pyruvate kinase reaction by 2 enzymes, and reversible of phosphofructokinase 1 reaction by this one, and reversible of glucokinase reaction by glucose 6-phosphatase. Coming to structure, how these are the structurally how it will be. So reversible of the pyruvate kinase reaction. You can see here, this is the pyruvate here. See, pyruvate react here, acetyl CoA, we are also sending the acetyl CoA here. You can see adding acetyl CoA, and then we are adding CO2 here, and then ATP. So pyruvate react with acetyl CoA and CO2 and ATP with the help of pyruvate carboxylase, and it produces oxaloacetate. And then ATP converted into ADP, and one P released. Pi means inorganic phosphate released here. So pyruvate and acetyl CoA all converted into oxaloacetate. If you want to produce oxaloacetate, you need pyruvate, acetyl CoA, and then carbon dioxide and ATP molecule, and then pyruvate carboxylase. With the help of pyruvate carboxylase produces oxaloacetate. Again oxaloacetate react with NADH and H plus and produces malate. Here NAD plus, NADH convert into NAD plus. So here with the help of NDH, with the help of MDH. So malate, here you can see malate again converted into oxaloacetate with the help of MDH, with the help of MDH. This is enzyme involved here, this is enzyme involved here. NAD plus converted to NADH and H plus. So malate converted into oxaloacetate, again oxaloacetate converted into phosphoenol pyruvate, phosphoenol pyruvate. But here oxaloacetate, here oxaloacetate react with GTP and then enzyme phosphoenol pyruvate carboxyl kinase, phosphoenol pyruvate carboxyl kinase, and oxaloacetate react with GTP with the help of PEPCK, produces GDP and one carbon dioxide CO2 molecule, and then final product phosphoenol pyruvate. This whole process happen in mitochondria, and this process all happen it is in the again reversal of phosphofructokinase reaction by fructose 1,6 phosphatase, fructose 1,6 phosphatase. Fructose, you can see fructose 1,6 bisphosphate, fructose 1,6 bisphosphate, and the enzyme involved here fructose 2,6 bisphosphatase, fructose 2,6 bisphosphatase. Fructose 1,6 bisphosphate, you can see here he added water molecule and then hydrolysis, and then here one molecule of inorganic phosphate out, and then you can see here if you this one fructose 2,6 bisphosphate, fructose 1,6 bisphosphate hydrolysis process with the help of fructose 1,6 bisphosphatase and produces fructose 6 phosphate, produces fructose 1,6 bisphosphate produces fructose 6 phosphate with the help of fructose 1,6 bisphosphatase. And we are not adding any AMP adenosine monophosphate, we are not adding here. But whereas when we add this one ATP, here we are adding ATP molecule, here we are adding adenosine triphosphate, this one. So this is a fructose 1,6 bisphosphate converted into fructose 6 phosphate. And third one, reversible of the glucokinase, reversible of the glucokinase. So reaction by glucose 6 phosphatase. So here you can see here glucose 6 phosphate, hydrolysis, when you do hydrolysis process, and then the enzyme glucose 6 phosphatase, glucose 6 phosphate react hydrolysis process with the help of glucose 6 phosphatase, then produces glucose, and this is the inorganic phosphate. One inorganic phosphate will come out, the whatever the here phosphate is there, it will remove when you do hydrolysis process, it will remove, and then you will get glucose. This enzyme is present in the liver and kidney, but not in the muscle, So gluconeogenesis, it is gluconeogenesis and glycolysis are reciprocally regulated, that is one pathway is relatively inactive while the other is highly active, others are highly active. Fructose 2,6 bisphosphatase plays an important role in determining whether glucose is to be degraded or synthesized. So fructose 2,6 phosphatase is very important here. This enzyme is very important. This is a very important, fructose 2,6 bisphosphatase. This plays a major role here whether the glucose is to be degraded or synthesized. If it is degraded, glycolysis process, gluconeogenesis. Alternative routes of glucose catabolism. Pentose phosphate pathway. Here pentose phosphate pathway. This is another pathway. Penta means 5. So we are going to synthesize 5 carbon molecules. So pentose phosphate shunt or hexomonophosphate pathway. There are people usually mention that triple P, they usually mention triple pentose phosphate pathway or hexomonose phosphate pathway, hexomonophosphate pathway. So here this pathway consists two parts. This process contains two parts. One is glucose 6-phosphate. Glucose 6-phosphate undergo two oxidations by NAD plus. The second oxidative step includes decarboxylation that forms pentose phosphate. Here glucose 6-phosphate undergoes two oxidation. It goes to oxidation process. So it goes to oxidation. Glucose 6-phosphate undergoes oxidation by NADP plus. The second oxidative step includes decarboxylation. It removes the carbon dioxide, CO2, decarbon, that forms pentose phosphate. The pentose phosphate is transferred into fructose 6-phosphate and glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. The pentose phosphate is transferred into fructose 6-phosphate and glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. It is an alternative pathway to glycolysis. This pathway, it is a alternative sources of glycolysis, and then it is an aerobic process. It is an aerobic process. This process, glucose is used as a raw materials. We are going to use this glucose as a raw material. Products from are pentose sugars and CO2, NADPH. In this process, form pentose sugars, 5 carbon molecules, and carbon dioxide, NADPH. This pathway occurs usually in adipose tissues. Liver, testes, erythrocytes, adrenal cortex, and lactating mammary glands, which are involved in fatty acid and steroid production. These occurs in adipose tissues and liver, testes, and erythrocytes, adrenal cortex, and lactate mammary glands, which are involved in fatty acid biosynthesis pathway, fatty acid and then steroid production. This pathway is involved. This pathway occurs mainly in adipose tissue. So oxidative stage, how this oxidative process happen? Pentose phosphate pathway. In this process, we are going to use glucose 6-phosphate. This is glucose 6-phosphate converted into 6-phosphogluconol lactone. 6-phosphogluconolactone. So glucose 6-phosphate converted into 6-phosphogluconolactone. So with the help of glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase. Glucose 6-phosphate react with NAD plus and then produces 6-phosphonololactone, and here glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase, the enzyme which is involved here, and 6-phosphogluconolactone converted into phosphogluconate with the help of gluconol lactose. But here you see just hydrolysis process, H2O. Here we added H2O, that means this is hydrolysis process. So 6-phosphogluconate. Again 6-phosphogluconate react with NAD plus and then produces ribulose 5-phosphate with the help of 6-phosphogluconate dehydrogenase. With 6-phosphogluconate dehydrogenase, with the help of this enzyme, it produces ribulose 5-phosphate. Here react with 6-phosphogluconate react with NAD plus and produces ribulose 5-phosphate with the help of 6-phosphogluconate dehydrogenase, and then NADPH, and you will get carbon dioxide released. So this is the oxidative stage of pentose phosphate pathway, and then we will continue non-oxidative reactions. The oxidative pentose pathway, actually the steps involved here, but the structurally how they changes here. You can see here beta D glucose 6 phosphate. You can see here this is the beta D glucose 6 phosphate. 6 because see carbon position 6. This is 1, 2, 3, 4 and then 5 and then 6, carbon number 6. So here beta D glucose 6 because OH is here up, that's what we mentioned up. When it is OH up, that we are beta position. So beta D glucose 6 phosphate. So here beta D glucose 6 phosphate react with NADP with the help of glucose 6 phosphate dehydrogenase produces 6 phosphogluconolate, 6 phosphogluconolactone, 6 phosphogluconolactone. It produces this one, and then 6 phosphogluconolactone produces 6 phosphogluconic, this one, and then hydrolysis process. Here we are adding hydrolysis process H2O, lactonase, hydrolysis by lactonase. Again 6 phosphogluconic and then react with NADP plus and produces ribulose 5 phosphate, here, and then NADP plus converted NADPH and H plus and 1 CO2 carbon dioxide will come, 1 molecular carbon molecule. So 6 phosphogluconic acid and converted into ribulose 5 phosphate. When you compare 6 molecule of glucose and coming, you can see reduced the carbon levels, reduced the carbon molecule. So that's what this is, the 5 carbon 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 carbon. So that is ribulose 5 phosphate. P means phosphate, functional group is attached to the 5th position. This is the 5th carbon. This is first carbon 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So ribulose 5 phosphate. So this is the glucose 6 phosphate converted into ribulose 5 phosphate. This is a non-oxidative stage. What are the steps involved here? Non-oxidative stage. Pentose phosphate pathway. See, ribulose 5 phosphate. We have seen ribulose 5 phosphate. From the glucose, we converted into ribulose 5 phosphate, 5 carbons molecule. Ribulose 5 phosphate converted into oxalo 5 phosphate. Ribulose 5 phosphate converted into xylose 5 phosphate. Xylose 5 phosphate with the help of ribulose 5 phosphate 3 epimerase. That is the enzyme involved here. Ribulose 5 phosphate converted into xylose 5 phosphate, and again ribulose 5 phosphate converted. It cleaves 2 molecules, ribose 5 phosphate. Ribulose 5 phosphate cleaves 2 molecules. One is xylose 5 phosphate and the other one is ribose 5 phosphate. The enzyme is ribulose 5 phosphate isomerase. Here is epimerase. Ribulose 5 phosphate epimerase and then isomerase. These are the 2 enzymes involved here. Ribulose 5 phosphate cleaves 2 molecule. So one is xylose 5 phosphate and the other one is ribose 5 phosphate. Again here xylose 5 phosphate and then ribose 5 phosphate converted into, there are 2 molecules, hepatolose 5 phosphate, hepatolose 5 phosphate and then glyceraldehyde 3 phosphate, These 2, this is the molecule and this is these two converted into again 2 molecules with the help of trans ketolase, Again hepatolose 7 phosphate and glyceraldehyde 3 phosphate, again these 2 converted into 2 molecule, erythrose 4 phosphate and then fructose 6 phosphate. These 2, this is the one and this is the one. These 2 molecules with the help of trans aldolase, here is trans ketolase, here is trans aldolase, erythrose 4 phosphate and fructose 6 phosphate produces 2 molecule, it cleaves 2 molecule. Again xylose 5 phosphate, this is the one, and erythrose 4 phosphate, this is the one. These 2 involved and then produces glyceraldehyde 3 phosphate and fructose 6 phosphate with the help of trans ketolase. trans ketolase. So this one is the non-oxidative stage pentose phosphate pathway. Non-oxidative steps. Here is non-oxidative steps. Here, this is structurally how it will be. Ribulose 5-phosphate. This is the structure of ribulose 5-phosphate, and this molecule converted into ribose 5-phosphate. Ribulose 5-phosphate with the help of pentose phosphate isomerase, and this one is, you see, pentose phosphate epimerase. This molecule, it converted into two molecules. One is ribose 5-phosphate, other one is xylose 5-phosphate. Again this one and this one. These two molecules, this and this, converted into hepatolose 7-phosphate, and again this one is glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate with the help of trans ketolase. Again these two trans aldolase, with the help of trans aldolase, converted into erythrose 4-phosphate and fructose 6-phosphate. And again you can see here erythrose 4-phosphate and xylose 5-phosphate. These and this one, you can, there are either way you can divide fructose 6-phosphate and then glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. But here xylose 5-phosphate, this is trans ketolase. With the help of trans ketolase, you convert glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, and erythrose 5-phosphate, you can see here it produces fructose 6-phosphate. So if you want to produce fructose 6-phosphate, either you can use this process or you can use this and this also. You can produce glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and fructose 6-phosphate. And the pentose phosphate pathway is an anabolic pathway. This is an anabolic pathway that occurs cytoplasm. Usually it happens in the cytoplasm. Generates 3 carbon molecule 4, 5, 6 and 7 carbon sugars and NADH, generates NADPH. Functions: generates NADPH for reductive biosynthesis reactions. Generate NADPH for reductive biosynthesis reactions, fatty acids, steroids in the cytoplasm. So generates NADPH for reductive biosynthesis reactions, provide the cell with ribose 5-phosphate, that 5 carbon molecule phosphate for synthesis of nucleotides, So if you want to ribose 5-phosphate, you need to use for the synthesis of nucleotides and nucleic acids, some coenzymes, ATP. So if you want to synthesize nucleotides, coenzymes and nucleic acids, ATP, so you need ribose 5-phosphate. So to form intermediates of glycolysis and gluconeogenesis. Next one is last one, Enterner-Doudoroff pathway. This glycolysis is nearly universal. Glycolysis pathway is a universal pathway. Some bacteria use an alternative route called Enterner-Doudoroff pathway. Final product is ethanol. When you use this pathway, you will get final product is ethanol. Why we are going to use ED pathway? Sometime this pathway we mentioned ED pathway, Enterner-Doudoroff pathway, ED pathway we call. So final product you will get ethanol. This pathway was first reported 1952 by scientist Michael Doudoroff and Nathan Enterner. They both are names are scientist names. They actually both reported in 1952. It was reported 1952 by two scientists. One is Michael Doudoroff and other one is Nathan Enterner. This is the steps involved in this pathway, ED pathway. Glucose converted into glucose 6-phosphate, glucose converted into glucose 6-phosphate, glucose 6-phosphate converted into 6-phosphogluconic acid, and here it produces 2-keto 3-hydroxyphosphogluconic acid. 6-phosphogluconic acid converted into 2-keto 3-hydroxy 3-deoxy 6-phosphogluconic acid. Again, this one converted cleaves two molecule. So one is glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, other one is pyruvic acid. From this pyruvic acid, you can produce acetaldehyde, carbon dioxide, and you will get final product ethanol. So glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate converted into again pyruvic acid. Glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate converted into pyruvic acid. This one is here 2 ADP molecule and NADH we are using, and then converted acetaldehyde and then carbon dioxide. So you will get ethanol here. Finally, you will get ethanol. So ED pathway, it is involved two ways. So okay, glucose converted into pyruvate, again pyruvate and then glyceraldehyde 3-phos. You can produce ethanol through pyruvic acid, and the other one is glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. From that you can produce ethanol. So this is ED pathway. These are the steps involved in ED pathway. These are the structures. Glucose, we have taken glucose molecule here. This is the glucose molecule. This is the glucose molecule here. Glucose converted into glucose 6-phosphate with the help of glucose kinase. And glucose react with ATP with the help of glucose kinase, converted into glucose 6-phosphate. You can see here glucose 6-phosphate. And again glucose 6-phosphate react with NAD plus and then H2O, and with the help of glucose 6-phosphodehydrogenase. It converted into 6-phosphogluconate. The glucose 6-phosphate react with NAD plus and H2O with the help of glucose 6-phosphodehydrogenase and produces 6-phosphogluconate. And then 6-phosphogluconate converted, you can see here, and then this one is converted into 2-keto and 3-deoxy 6-phosphogluconate. This is the 6-phosphate gluconate. We call KDPG. This KDPG. Keto deoxyphosphogluconate. So 6-phosphogluconate converted into 2-keto 3-deoxy 6-phosphogluconate with the help of 6-phosphogluconate dehydrogenase and logs analysis. Again to this KDPG aldolase, this is an enzyme involved here. Again from KDPG it converted into pyruvate. From pyruvate you can produce ethanol. Pyruvate react with react NADH and NADH converted to NAD plus and then produces ethanol. This is it. But the reaction here, same reactions as in glycolysis and alcoholic fermentation. And again pyruvate react with glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. And produces here ethanol. 2 ADP converted into ATP and H2O. So this is the process ED pathway, Entner-Doudrop pathway. So glucose converted into ethanol. So glucose converted to pyruvate via EDP, 2-stage linear path like glycolysis. First stage unique, second stage identical. KDPG is the unique intermediate. KDP is the unique intermediate, is very important intermediate. And then KDP is intermediate molecule. It is very important and produces yields ATP, NADH, NADPH. One is 1 ATP, 1 NADH and 1 NADPH. One pyruvate is generated each stage of the pathway. Found some gram, this usually found in bacteria, Rhizobium, Agrobacterium, Azobacter and Pseudomonas. Usually it found there. So glucose converted to pyruvate and then via EDP pathway. So this we can see some of the bacteria. This pathway alternative series of reactions that catabolize glucose to pyruvate using set of enzymes, okay, use either glycolysis or pentose phosphate pathway. Whatever the enzymes we are using, that maybe we have used in glycolysis process and then pentose phosphate pathway. And this Entrenov-Doudorow pathway occurs only in prokaryotes. 6-phosphogluconate dehydrase and 2-keto 3-deoxyphosphogluconate and aldose and to create pyruvates from glucose. So these are the enzymes involved here. 6-phosphogluconate dehydratase and 2-keto 3-deoxyphosphogluconate aldolase to create pyruvates from glucose. So from glucose, okay, we produce pyruvate. So these are the enzymes involved here. Net yield 1 ATP. Net yield of 1 ATP for every one glucose molecule processed as well 1 NADPH, 1 NADPH and 1 ADH. By comparison, glycolysis as net yield 2 ATP and 2 NADH for every one glucose molecules. For a glucose converted into glycogen through glycogenesis process. Glycogenolysis is a breakdown of glucose and glucose 1 phosphate, and then glycogenolysis is the degradation of glycogen. So glycogenolysis, why we are using degradation of glycogen, removal of glucose monomer. We are removing the glucose monomer with using inorganic phosphate. We are using inorganic to produce glucose 1 phosphate. Next, glucogenesis is the synthesis of glucose from non-carbohydrates. We are using non-carbohydrates. Fructose 2,6 bisphosphate is a very important, plays a major role in either degrade the glucose or synthesize the glucose. So this is happening in glycolysis and gluconeogenesis. Pentose phosphate shunt. It is an anabolic pathway that occurs in cytoplasm. Generates 3 carbon molecule, 4 carbon molecule, 5 carbon molecule and 7 carbon sugars and NADH, and then it produces NADPH. Entrenov-Doudorow pathway. This describes alternative source of energy. So catabolize glucose to convert it into pyruvate, then pyruvate converted into ethanol using set of different enzymes. So it is a glycolysis process or pentose phosphate pathway. So these are the summary questions. So what are the enzymes involved in gluconeogenesis, what is the mechanism, and then glycogenolysis and glucogenesis, and then glucogenesis, and then you make a difference. What is, you should make it to what is glycogenolysis, and then what is gluconeogenesis, and what is the ED pathway, explain in neat structure, and then pentose phosphate pathway, what is pentose phosphate pathway, and then write steps involved in oxidative and non-oxidative process in pentose phosphate pathway, write enzymes involved in ED pathway, and what are the enzymes involved gluconeogenesis and PPP. 3PP means pentose phosphate shunt. And these some of the text and reference books, text books we provided here. You please refer this one and go to library, so you can read these books, you can gain more knowledge and you can get more information in the textbooks. Thank you.